night owls. Damn. Well, guess I only got a couple smokes to go live with. Let me clean up my mess. Holy crap. Well, I've been smoking like a chimney. Everyone says, stop smoking, stop smoking. Fuck that shit. I'm gonna keep smoking till I'm sitting there in the ground. If anything, if I'm in the ground, put a smoke in my mouth. You ever done that to a unalived animal? They just, as a joke, put a cigarette in their mouth and then take a picture. I used to do that back in the day, but all those pictures are long gone, which is kind of funny. The fear. I need to find the fear. The fire. Sorry, in Quebec, it's the fear. The fear is the fire. Not Nazi. But to say Quebec is definitely has their own views in politics for sure, even more so than what Alberta would have as their politics. But I will totally talk politics on here, but I won't talk about religion or what God you believe in, which I just think is absolute nonsense in the first place. If you don't know, you know. Religion is just a way to keep people in control and to keep people fighting each other, which really sucks. Like I don't hate on religious people. I don't hate on gay people. I don't hate on LGBTQ people. The only reason I hate on these people is if they try and shove it down your throat. Like, I hate when people try and Jehovah's Witness you, sitting there just knocking on your door, trying to make a point, trying to make bang, 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 and they're trying to get their views across. Not for me. Definitely. I've had a few Jehovah's Witness come in. I've let them into my home. And I open the door, a cloud of pot smoke will come out, and they're just like, what? Like, come on in. I ain't doing anything today. You sit down. Sitting there rolling a joint in front of them. Meanwhile, they have kids with them. Like, this is a messed up thing. Uh, you're gonna come into my house with your kids, and you clearly know that I'm smoking pot. And this is back in the day when it was illegal. And yeah, it's so funny how like things work out that way. They're so hurting to have people join them that they'd be willing to come into a stranger's house, whether it smelled like pot smoke when it was illegal, and then have their kids come in the house as well. A little messed up. Yeah, pretty crazy world out there. I don't get this whole planet right now. Everyone seems to be like not thinking clearly. And I'm trying to think what's not making people think clearly. Like like I can clearly see what is happening in the world, and you tell somebody else this and they're like, "Nope, I don't get this. I absolutely do not get this." It's like, okay. Like, so I'm the crazy one. Okay, I'll be the crazy one. I love being the crazy one. Everyone always, growing up as a kid, my nickname was Crazy. It's so funny. And then people call me the crazy one now. If anything, I am the most down to earth, normal thinking person you could ever think of. Like, I remember when smartphones came out, people were like, "Oh, you're never gonna get a smartphone. You're not." Yeah, I fought to not get a smartphone, and I fought it for about 4 or 5 years to get a smartphone. Yeah, but there's a point of giving in. You have to give in. Like, it is what it is, and sorry, I did it, but it is what it is. We have to give up eventually on certain things. Like, for me to get a flip phone would cost me more than getting a smartphone, which is crazy. Like, think about that. They don't want you to have a smartphone, so what do? Cost and supply and demand. Nobody wants these flip phones, so what do? We jack up the prices on them so everyone gets a smartphone now. we'll just jack the price up. Like think about that. It forced everyone into getting a phone, and right there's your digital ID. It's totally messed up. Everyone now has a digital ID, and everyone's trying to fight digital ID. What's this thing? What's this thing right here? This is our digital ID, and everyone's trying to fight this. Trust me, there is more identification on your phone than what these digital IDs are ever going to have. And for people to sit there and fight this digital ID, you guys are in the past. You guys aren't thinking clearly. It's already here. You already have it. And then how many of you people that say, I'm never going to get a digital ID, and you use your smartphone to pay for things? Think about that. Literally think about that. And you're totally anti digital currency, blah, blah, blah. You're already using digital currency with a cell phone. Like, do you hear the idiocracy in this? Where is people's mindsets at right now? I'm really trying to figure this out because I'm thinking here clear as a fucking daisy. And what frustrates me the most in this world is that people can't see what's really being put in front of them. They're thinking that they're getting a gift, and when you're not, that's what really frustrates me in this world. Like the lower the taxes on food goods in Manitoba. Okay, so we'll get rid of the food taxes completely on junk food. Well, how does that help the society? It doesn't. It just makes the lower income people even more susceptible to becoming even less than what they are. Hey, what's up, Leah? How's it going? What time is it where you are? It's like I don't know. I'm talking about like the news that should be talked about, and politics and the tariffs across global markets across the world right now, and what other countries are doing with in the world when it comes to trade and economics that we aren't hearing about. Like the US is like, oh, here we're just going to tariff everyone. Okay, look at what the rest of the world is doing. This is what I'm doing. AM. Okay. Okay, you're not too far ahead of me. Like a couple hours. I'm Central Time, so you're East Coast. Yeah, you're East Coast. But I just find it so frustrating that like so many things that are happening in this world right now, and the, we're getting criticized for all this stuff. North Carolina, nice. I'm in Manitoba. I'm a Canuckistani. I'm a Canuckistani. Canuck, Canadian. Right here, dead set in the middle. What's being run by a corrupt coward? Because there's a lot of countries right now that are being run by a corrupt coward. Like, there's a lot of people saying that other politicians are being cowards right now, but really what they're trying to do right now is play the catch-up game, which is a big thing. Like to say that one country is doing badly right now, to tell you the truth, every country is dealing with the same economic problem right now. And we all put ourselves into this situation in the first place. That's the problem. And it's like basic Sims. If you've ever played Sims, right? You build up your infrastructure. You do your sewer, your electricity, your water. You do all that first. Then you start building power plants. Then you start building homes. Then you start building electric companies. Then you start building like data centers. We don't have the infrastructure to do this stuff. We didn't have the infrastructure to do the electric vehicles in the first place. And this is why electric vehicle sales are down. It's because nobody wants them. Yes, hybrids are added into that mix. What pizza do you like more? Sourdough or dildo? Oh, that's kind of funny. I can't believe you got me to say that. Actually, I've been messing with a pizza dough lately. It's called a wet crust pizza. So you put the pizza crust in liquid on a pan. You just smear it out like you're doing the sauce. You put it in the oven for 10 minutes and it pre-cooks. You pull it out quickly, put your toppings on, and then you put it in for another 10 minutes and you have one of the craziest pizzas ever. And you could probably look this up online. It's called Crazy Crust Pizza, and it's a liquid crust pizza turned into a full dough crust pizza, which is phenomenal. And it's something I've been dabbling with a couple times, and I haven't seemed to fuck it up at all yet, which is pretty interesting. So, yeah, Crazy Crust Pizza, liquid base. Yeah, who would have thought? You're not using dough. It's like putting a crepe on. It's like you're making a crepe. It's so crazy. Hence, Crazy Crust Pizza. And then chicken. Oh my goodness, the wife brought chicken home last night or tonight. Was it? Is it midnight yet? Anyways, midnight, whatever. If it's midnight, then yesterday. So the wife brought chicken home the other night, and oh my god, it was so pumped full of water, it was unedible. It you just know. And thank you, Maple Leaf. Could you add more water to that chicken? I could have thrown that chicken in the oven for an extra 20 minutes just to get the water out of the chicken because it was just so gross. I hate I hate buying meat and it's disgusting and you're paying way too much for it as it is. You know, you see videos in the States of people getting like what they say is like AI generated meat. Yeah, that's happening. That's happening. You notice during like 2016 we started hearing about like food printers. And then from 2016 we stopped hearing about food printers. Okay, what happened to the food printers? And then all of a sudden now we have these food printers that are producing steaks with a printer. Now, so like are they trying to sneak this in on us? It's pretty messed up. And I'm just trying to think right now, no forgetting. What kind of pizza do you like more, sourdough or dildo? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to think like how many channels you go to and say that too. It just get like a rise. Get it? A rise. Boom boom. Yeah, I can be funny too. Yeah, my signal's probably not great either. How's my signal, anyone? Can you hear me okay? Signal check, check, check. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Anyone? I haven't had anything to do with a sound check. Obviously, I sound okay. And you know who's really a dildo? Just a dildo. You know, the one who just completely put this country into an absolute loop. It's just a shame that Carney had to come in when he did. Imagine if Carney would have taken over when Trudeau took over. If we could go back in time, but we can't go back in time. We we just have to live and learn from what we did in the future. But sorry, I went from PC to liberal really really quickly, and I don't know why other people can't see that. Like, just wait. Canada is gonna be a superpower, and if not, possibly a bigger superpower than the United States. Just like I'm not trying to toot Canada's own horn here, but it, it's inevitable. It's been happening for a while. Canada is now that Carney is putting money into the military that has been like locked on in the last 20 years. We need to step up our military game if we want to start playing like world leader. You know, Canada, everyone always asks Canada for advice. But yeah, we have a good military as is. You know, it's very strong with the numbers that we do have. We're very knowledgeable in our military. But if we're going to start playing big boy games in the big world economy, then we need to have big boy army to play these big boy games. And, you know, we can't rely on the United States to be playing these games. And it kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Like, I don't know, it's like your big brother moves to college, and meanwhile, you're getting beat up all the time in fucking high school. You know, you're about to graduate, your brother just goes to college, and then who's going to back you up right now? Sorry, the US thinks they went to college. They're not going to learn anything because college is just a waste of time and a waste of funds. I know a lot of people who went to college that are still paying off student debts, and you know, even after 10, 15 years. I know a guy who's still paying off his student loans from 25 years ago. Yeah, think about that. Paying off student loans from 25 years ago. Wow, so that means he gets no income tax back at the end of the year. They just garnish his wages to pay that. And not only that, the way he's doing it, they're taking interest on everything that he hadn't paid. I know, but there's not a lot of people that do realize this. This is what's frustrating, man. I'm so sorry. Yes, you've heard this. But what I'm trying to like get out there is to the people that aren't thinking about stuff like this. And there's a trust me, we're like the 1%. Here, let's just call us the 4%. We're the 4% of reality that actually thinks clearly. And there's not a lot of people that are thinking about that. And this is why I'm talking about. Yes, you know. Okay, Jeffrey Dahmer, that's awesome. My skin looks soft. Oh, dude, no, my skin's not that soft. Trust me. Uh, here. I got scabies. I got no. Actually, I could here. I got herpes. There you go. Now you don't want my skin. Just there we go. There will end that question right there. Yes, I have seen some of these comments before. I do hang around with Josh from Breakfast Cereal. Go check him out. Breakfast Cereal. He talks a lot about serial killers, stuff like that. He's a pretty good guy. And he just reached 80,000 subs after 3 years of his hard work. Finally cracked the YouTube code. Oh, what the hell? YouTube? That wasn't me. What? Okay, I'm gonna show that. I don't know why YouTube blocked that. That was YouTube that blocked that. I want to be best friends with your insides. Oof. If you'd be down to help free the kangaroos from the zoo. I don't know. I'd be scared that I'd let kangaroos out and then they just like not respect me letting them out and then either kick me in the balls or punch me in the face. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't think, and tell you the truth, kangaroo meat isn't very tasty. It's tell you the truth. Okay, if you put it in a slow cooker, maybe I could understand it'd be like tender enough to eat, but also, kangaroo meat is not good to eat. It's very chewy, and you don't want dentures or teeth like mine when it comes to eating kangaroo. Make then respect your authority. I don't know what you mean by that. Can you like rephrase that? Because I'm thinking you might have forgotten something in there, and I'm so ADD, I could add words in there to make it understandable to me. Make then respect your authority. Make then respect your authority. Like, are you talking about like the politics and the way that should be dealt with? Because if I was in politics, things would be well. I could never be in politics because I don't have skeletons in my closet, and that's a prerequisite. Oh, yeah, yeah. No, I'd leave the kangaroos alone. I'd leave the kangaroos alone. Yeah, just leave them alone. I don't want to deal with them because I almost guarantee a kangaroo would kick my ass. Like, you ever see the fences they put in Australia to stop those kangaroos, and they still get over. Like so it's like in Canada here when it comes to deer and elk. You set up fences. Trust me, they get through those fences. Like, it's crazy. Oh my goodness. What a day. Cool. I only got a couple more smokes. And then Australia. Okay. Jank Kitty? Jank. I'm just gonna call you Jan. Okay, so Jan, you're obviously from Australia. I'm just assuming, and assumptions are the lord of all fuck ups, so I could be wrong too. But the timeline kind of works out, so you're probably in Australia. So, how do you feel? Like, do you watch the news across the world and then make justifications for how you see the news in Australia? What? Another message is withheld. You bet that I'd free Pakistan. Well, whoa, 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 whoa. You're not in my head. Trust me, I know a lot of the political stuff that's happening between, like, it's, well, let's just say the Middle East, okay? Let's just say a broad spectrum here. I know a lot of shit that's happening in the Middle East. And to say that I'd free Pakistan, yeah, that country's got a lot of fucking problems, man. It's got a lot of fucking problems that they need to fucking deal with, and they have to deal with a lot of the countries that they're surrounded by. And I wouldn't just say free, they need to sort some shit out themselves within the countries that are around them. And it's not about free. Like, to say that, you might as well be like, oh, free Palestine. It's not the same thing. And to free Palestine, that doesn't mean anything. To free Palestine, it's like free America. There is no such thing as free America. So you're dancing on a double-edged sword, no matter which way you point this out at. But we're here to agree and disagree. This is the part of politics. But we can sit here and have a fucking normal conversation about my views and your views. And you have to realize I'm coming from the other side of the world too. And being here in Canada, it's very difficult for me to find proper information when it comes to stuff happening overseas. I really have to try super hard when it comes to my news broadcasts to talk about things that are very important in the world, that aren't about Epstein, aren't about the Queen, aren't about Trump, aren't about Carney, aren't about politics, but it weasels its way in there. It weasels its way in there. That's just part of politics. And then even to say, like, you have politicians sitting there screaming at each other, back and forth criticizing each other. That's just a spade calling a spade. That's just a part of politics, and it is what it is. And they're gonna have to deal with that. And there's a lot of people in these parties, who get offended by these things. Well, then you shouldn't be in politics. And then there's people on YouTube as well. They sit there and like, oh, I had a troll today, blah blah blah, so I canceled my channel. Well, even a troll is views. Even those comments are views. Whether it's a troll or not, it's views. So whether it's good or bad, it's still views. How do you think the media made all their money? They add in all the bad stuff. Because if it doesn't bleed, it doesn't lead and it doesn't make money. Do you understand? And then for these people who are joining YouTube, like, oh, I'm going to be YouTube famous. If you can't take criticism, then you shouldn't be on YouTube in the first place, because you're too soft and you obviously don't know how the fucking world works. That's just straight. I've been on here since 2013, and I've always spoke my mind, and I've taken criticism back and forth. And trust me, I've had trolls, I've had haters, and it's not about them being haters. Sometimes these people are just trying to be funny, trying to get their 2 cents, and then they're gone. Oh, what's this other one? Oh, you can't say the NIGGA word here. Uh, Sorry, YouTube automatically blocks certain words. You can't actually try texting Nazi. Put Nazi in the text there. It won't put it in there. Yeah. And Hitler. I don't. If you put in Hitler there, I think it'll put your message on review as well, which is pretty crazy. See, this is how AI is taking over everything right now. They don't understand context. I could make a joke about Hitler and it'll put that message up for review because it doesn't understand context. Well, whatever, view whatever you want to do. I'm not going to get into religion. I will get into politics, but I'm not going to get into religion. Religion is always going to be an issue. It's always going to be an argument. Doesn't matter whether you're Catholic, you're Baptist, you're fucking Jewish, you're Muslim. It's always going to create a conflict, and it was an obvious conflict from the get-go. Like, why was Jesus killed? Because somebody didn't like him because of his views. So right there from day one, the Bible set us in stone to put. And I'm not saying that I follow the Bible. I've read everything except for the Quran. I'm still waiting for my Quran to read, which I'd really like to read, because there is a lot of biblical stuff from the multiple different Bibles that contrast between the Quran, and people don't realize that too. So another one is blocked. Nah, I'm good with that. I'm good with that, man. I don't need to do that. Like I said, I'm not going to deal with religion on here, and I'm not going to talk about religion because it just creates conflict more. I'd rather talk about politics than I'd talk about religion, because politics, you're going to get into an argument anyways. But when it comes to religion, you're never going to win that argument. Politics, yeah, you're not going to win, but you can agree to disagree. But when it comes to religion, you can't agree to disagree. It's either one religion or the other. Like, my dad could beat your dad up. Scenario. My dick is bigger than your dick. And that's how it is right now. Is my dick is bigger than your dick. And how is religion turned into that? And this is why I don't talk about religion. I'll talk about politics. Thank you, Nikki. Or Nick. Thank you, Nick. Religion is a farce. It's absolutely a farce. And what's really sad is how we're evolving way too quickly. Like green energy right now. We're building all these windmills and all these solar panels, but it doesn't make sense because we don't have ways to store that energy. We all have to go back to like some type of fossil fuel when we don't have, like, say, sunlight or wind that day. So we still have to go back to some form of fossil fuels. Does that make sense? So what is the point of building all these solar fields and all these windmills if we can't store the proper or the energy properly? Like, think about that. We're walking, or we're running before we can walk. Okay, if you're living off grid, say if you live in a rural community and you want to do off grid yourself, totally feasible. Totally feasible, especially with the markets they have right now. And then to your comment with aliens are real. I'm gonna think like the most logic person ever. If something happened to somebody, it was because of somebody else. Okay? It wasn't because of some creature or Bigfoot or Chupacabra. You know, normally when it comes down to something where a person goes missing or a person is found dead, it's either a wild animal or somebody else who had done it. Now think about that. Like Samantha Guthrie's mom, and they're saying, "Oh, yeah, she was kidnapped, blah blah. She just disappeared off the face of the earth." Well, obviously somebody was involved, and then Major Neil McCaslin, who started this whole alien nonsense, blah blah blah, who was a major corporal at Pearson Air Force Base. To say aliens took him away, like think clearly about this. Really think clearly about this. Now you're just making people think more ludicrous thoughts. The most logical answer is somebody took him. Like think logically. Somebody gets kidnapped. It's not an alien. Some crazy trucker who, like it just doesn't make any sense. Okay, Nikki, I'm going to tell you something right now. There is a good and evil. It's called light and darkness, though. Without light and darkness, we wouldn't be here. I think once we die, and we, even still, when we die, we're not just going into darkness. It's a combination of light and darkness. But I think it's the perfect combination is what's going to happen. Like, look at, like, imagine a spider web, okay? And all those webs come to a point. Now imagine each string going to that center, okay, is light and darkness, good and evil, okay? And once you get to that point, it's perfect. That's the only time in the spider web where it is absolute perfect, where there is no light or darkness or good or evil. That one point on the spider web where all the webs connect. That's us. It just my hypotheses. Like, trust me, I've done a lot of drugs back in my day. Well, even so lately. Japs aren't aliens. You know what? And this is another thing. Why don't we hear about, like, think about the Chinese? The Chinese, like, Chinese beer. Think about Chinese beer. Has been around since like 1787. Like, think about this. 1787 Chinese beer has been around. And then we're looking at beer now, like 1890, 1919, 1932, and then we have that, well, yeah, we have that gap between prohibition, where there was a gap of liquor sales, and it just doesn't make any sense. None of this makes any sense. Okay, what made no sense? I kind of probably overlapped in my own talking. Oh, the spider web thing? Okay, here. I'll try and do this and I'll try and explain it physically. Okay, you know how a spider web comes? Okay. Spider webs match at a point. So you have a point from here to point, like the way a spider web. The point, these 2 points. Okay. This point right here, I'm talking about where these two joints come together. That's the point of purity, of pure silence, of there is no light or darkness, where you come to a point where light and darkness meet. And when light and darkness meet, we wouldn't be able to see this. This is beyond us. Okay, so that means we're either dead and we can't explain what that is beyond that point. And there was no reason for us to be able to explain this for people. They don't want us to explain this to people. And yeah, at that point where you reach that point with good and evil, like a spider web reaching 2 points together, is it truly pure? Is it truly pure? But we won't ever know that till we go on to the next life. And this is why I don't believe in God. It Instead of putting all that energy into God himself or Jesus, a lot of people sit there and focus and read the Bible. Okay, like, yes, the Bible's a good book. There's a lot of good books. And yeah, there's the Baptist Bible, all the other Bibles, blah, blah, blah. They're all good Bibles. They're all good reads. But, hey, Janie. Janie, sorry. Religion is just a backstop to slow us down and create us fighting with each other, which is really sad. And I don't know what to do about this. Like, there's this talk of this whole global change where we need to start working together. And there's been talks about, oh, if we did have an alien race, blah, 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 the whole world would think differently. Well, yes, but then there's going to be people stuck in their ways. There's a lot of people that aren't going to think the same way. Thank you. Yes, religion equals control. And like a lot of people aren't understanding this. Like I'm not a I'm not criticizing religion. Yes, it does have its good things. All religions have their good things, but when they're shoved down your throat to the point where you start having to question it, then you should start questioning it. That's the issue I have right now when it comes to religion and how the world is working right now, because now there's a conflict with like the UFO releases, blah blah blah. There's churches and religions right now that could be abolished because of this leaked this information that is being put out there right now. It's like, is there really a God? Okay, well then that could abolish religion right there. But Quebec province since 2018 has trying to abolish religion completely. And the issue is with them is they were trying to get rid of like Muslim religion and not realizing the legislation that they were putting into place in Quebec, that they were abolishing their own religion. And see, this is the mentality people are having. They're worried so much about religion and getting rid of certain religions that they're getting rid of their own religions. And so they're their worst enemies. They're their worst enemies right now. Like, you don't even have to worry about them fighting against each other. Them just being their own religion right now is dissolving themselves. Now think about that. They're having fights between themselves. Is like, okay, is God real? And with like, so, and there's been a lot of controversy about this. Soul correction needs to be abolished ASAP. Well, soul correction. Well, you should rephrase that a little bit. You should rephrase that. Um, your soul is your soul. Okay, here, I'm gonna start a new page right here. Um, Now think about this. If you put all that energy that you put into believing in, say, Jesus Christ, or into the Quran, or being a Jewish, what are they called? not oligarchs, sorry, Jewish priest. They have a special name. But instead of putting all your energy into that, imagine if you put all that energy into yourself. And I don't want to sound conceited or anything, but think of yourself as a god. Really, you're the one with the choices. You are the one who has to make the decisions yourself. Yes, you're going to make bad decisions and you're going to make good decisions. So to say that God is doing that for you, now think about that. Was it God or was it you? Now take out the equation of religion and focus all that energy into yourself. Now, like I said, don't be conceited about this. Now focus on you, yourself, being a god. Okay. The only person that can change you. Okay. Here, let's go into some rehab talk. And blah, blah, blah. I've been to rehab clinics and stuff, blah, blah, blah. Just, I've listened to the conversations. But say to like focus on God. But really, when you're in a rehab facility, they tell you to focus on God, but really what you're doing is you're focusing on yourself. So you're really not helping yourself. Rabies? Or the Soul Collection. Are you talking about eating babies? Yeah, there's a lot of messed up stuff here. And to tell you the truth, I've run into some of these people that get into really shady shit. And to tell you the truth, I'd rather just sit here and bunker down and not do anything. Because there's no reason to. I don't want to go out there and argue with people. I don't want to go out there and have to defend myself for no reason, just for going to a store. You know, like say I wear a shirt one day that's going to piss somebody off. Why? I just pissed off one person. And then, yeah, just stay at home. Stay quiet. Even the landlord. They're like, oh, you're partying in here the other night. No, I wasn't. And then he wants me to talk about the neighbors. Well, who was partying up here? I don't know. It's not my problem. That's your problem to figure out. I sit here, I do my thing. I keep my mouth shut. And that's how it should be. But there are certain things where I should speak up with, especially when it comes to Canada separation, where Alberta wants to separate from Canada. But the only reason I'm speaking up about this is because these people have no fucking clue on what is happening if they did separate. Okay, you lose your police services, you lose your military, you lose your postal service, you lose government funding, like, and then they think that they're going to get $300 billion, or sorry, $500 billion, a $500 billion from the US government. That is a loan, that they're going to be okay. Wow. A loan. Here, we'll give you a loan so you can separate. So we can just shove that straw straight up your ass and suck all the oil out of you. And that's what we're going to take as a tax. I can't believe they realize what they're getting themselves into. Like, this is just common sense to me. But this isn't common sense to the 300,000 people that wanted to separate. Like, it didn't work the first time when Quebec tried to separate, and they talked about doing it a second time. Yeah, that didn't work either. It got quashed pretty quickly. And yes, let them have their referendum. Let them have the vote on the vote if they want to separate. And we'll just quash it right there. Because they only have they say they have more than 300,000 votes. But then there's over 700,000 votes of Keep Canada Strong again. So, what's going on? This is like a religion thing again. It's like almost like, oh, Jewish priests or rabbis. But There was a name I was looking for. Not the rabbis, not oligarchs, ascetic Jews. Ascetic Jews is the name I was looking for. Ascetic Jews. There's a lot of people in Israel that will become ascetic Jews, so they don't have to join the military. Because if you live in Israel, one day or another, you're gonna have to join the military. You're gonna have to do your part. Same with Turkey. If you're in Turkey, you're gonna have to become a part of the military at one day or another, whether you like it or not. You're just gonna have to pay your dues. But how does that make any sense? You're a Jewish person and you're hired to fucking kill people. Like, how is that kosher? And you see why people become Hasidic Jews? So you have Jewish people sitting there killing other people when, it's not even kosher to eat bugs. Is that how you spell it? I know there's a buttload of them in New York City. New York City, they have their own, like, they have city blocks, which is crazy. But I don't know, like, I don't know, do you feel frustrated just talking to people? Like, I have a friend who's separated or signed the separation papers from Alberta, who wants to separate from Alberta, and he wants to go get his native treaty card. Native treaty card. Now think about this. The native people here in Canada have been trying to separate forever, trying to get the white man out of Canada. And then the Alberta separatists is like, yeah, we have the native people on our back for the separation. Yeah, the native people have been wanting to separate, but not with you. They've been trying to separate with this fucking country. They're trying to get away from the fucking white man, not you. Like, they want Alberta to themselves. And then what kind of legality is that going to bring up? Because it's not your land. It's called First Nations for a reason, because they were here first. And really, Alberta, you're going to sit there and fight that? The Canadian federal government has been fighting the native population for how many years? And they haven't won once. What the fuck does Alberta think they're going to do with the native population in Alberta? If anything, if they do separate, the native population is just going to absolutely crush them. And you want to talk about an uprising? Oh, you will never see an uprising like this before. Trust me, they will bring in every native from across this country and flood them into Alberta, and they will take it as their own. And you know what? You know how everyone's like talked about Quebec separating? Here, let's give them their own island. Well, Canada will give Alberta all the natives. Alberta. Now think about that. And these separatists don't get it. It's not their land to be taking in the first place. Oh, here, I'm gonna screenshot that. I gotta check that out. I think I do know that story already, but I need to refine myself in that. Sorry, I've been bumped around a lot of religions growing up as a kid. It's kind of funny. Yeah, the blocks in New York City. Yeah. Especially the parties they have, where they just take over everything. And this is another thing I don't get about the Hasidic Jews is they just sit there and all they do is talk. And they think that they're better than everyone, but they aren't. They're no better than anyone else, but they seem to have this chip on their shoulder. That's almost like being a Christian and you going up to a Jew and you be like, you know what, Christianity's better than Judaism, and that's just pretty much what they're doing. Like, hey, do you know you should do this? You know what? I don't fucking care. Like, yeah, okay, to a point. To a point. I know some good Jews, I know some bad Jews, but It's the bad apples that make it the worst for the rest of them. That's what it comes down to everything. You know, it's not just about the dirty Jews. It's the couple dirty Jews that make it look really bad for the rest of them. There's a lot of people sitting there. Like, think about how many Jews are arms smugglers. Like, look at what's happening in Turkey right now. Turkey's getting blamed right now for, well, to be fair, Turkey did sell some uh, unfunctional weapons to Sudan a couple of years, well, 2024 there. Uh, Hundreds of thousands of blank firearms and millions of blank cartridges to Sudan. You know, yeah, shit's gonna happen. Shit is gonna happen. You think Israel is any better when it comes to arms dealing? They are some of the worst people. They're feeding the worst countries in the world just to create conflict. And they sit there and be like, oh, this is how the world should be. We should be like just. We should be kind. We should be doing all this stuff. Trust me. Look into the Mossad. Look into the Mossad and the people that the Mossad has killed for absolutely no reason and never been prosecuted for. Like Gerald Bull. What? Because he was building a super gun for Saddam Hussein? That's not how it was supposed to be. Like, and tell you the truth, that what Gerald Bull was doing saved the British steel industry. Steel industry was in bankruptcy until Gerald Bull started building this super weapon, super gun in Iraq for Saddam Hussein, and then kept the British government, or sorry, the British steel industry in operation, still funding them. And what's funny is they ended up getting to keep most of that steel anyways. So really they didn't lose anything. Have a yoleful day. I don't know what that means. Yoleful day. Imagine if everyone had to pay extra for everything. Could be claimed Allah. Yeah, you know what? We're already paying extra for everything. Everything is an extra app for that. Like Canada just made a deal with Saab instead of buying US aircraft. My thoughts are is because they don't have to pay an app for that. Like, what's to stop the US from, okay, we buy, Canada buys fighter aircraft from the United States, okay? What's to stop them from giving us updates on those aircraft that need constant updates? Think about this. There's an app for that. You need to buy a subscription to watch a specific show. And then if you want to watch that show, you have to buy another subscription. What's to stop the US from doing that to us when we start buying their, what is it, F 15s?